Hello, everyone, and welcome to our stream for the IBM Developer Stream. I have a visitor today. You want to say hi? Awesome. My name is JJ Asgar. I'm a developer advocate for the IBM Cloud, and I was on yesterday. I've been trying to stream more and more and trying to show off cool technologies. And today we're going to be with something called Kubernetes, Helm, and Huginn. Our agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about what Helm is, because obviously we need to know what Helm it is to play around with it. Then we're going to use some basic Helm usage, just kind of understand and play with it to understand why you'd even bother. Then we're going to walk through what Huginn is, just to make sure that if you haven't seen the stream before or anything, you'll have some context of why we're playing with it. Then we'll play. We created a deployment.yaml, I think last week, and it was on vanilla Kubernetes, and we're going to show how that works and how that all comes together. And then we're going to convert it, the deployment.yaml, to a Helm chart, which is going to be the bulk of this stream. And then we're going to try to upstream it. I have the actual developer from Huginn, the main developer, very excited that he was going to get a Helm chart out of this stream, and there's a chance that he might be watching or watching in the future. So if you guys have any questions or thoughts, we're both watching the chat. We're just kind of start at the top and walk all the way down. Seem reasonable, Paul? Awesome. I like it. So it's a package manager. So it's like apt-get?
Does packaging and sharing of Linux applications, but then it also does templating of those Kubernetes manifests, which is why I sort of say it's also kind of like Ansible. Really, it's like the templating component of Ansible, because it doesn't do the, say, orchestration side of things, because it expects that you have Kubernetes, which is already doing that orchestration for you.
Ah, nice.
And so you use Helm to write templates of kube manifests. You use Helm to store and share those. And then you'll also use Helm to install and uninstall and upgrade those applications in your cluster.
Okay. So I remember a while ago, Helm was a binary we downloaded directly from GitHub. This is saying I should use Homebrew. Is that a...
Yeah. So it all depends on what you're on. I always download the binary because I'm generally on Linux, or I also often care about being in a specific version of Helm, especially as we were making the transition from Helm 2 to Helm 3.
There is no
I would assume that most Helm binaries through brew and stuff are all Helm 3 now, so you're probably okay to do a brew install Helm.
Okay.
But if you do a Helm version and it says you are running Helm version 2, you should slap yourself for being so far behind and upgrade to Helm 3. Thankfully, you are on 3.1.1, which is, I think, the most recent.
Okay. Good.
So that is good.
Awesome. So, again, we don't even acknowledge Helm version 2 now. If we're
there was some big... That's right. There were some big changes made from Helm 2 to Helm 3 to address some potential security concerns and other things. We don't need to get into that because plenty of people have talked about it in the past.
Yep.
We'll just say if you're doing Helm, you should probably be doing Helm 3 unless you've got a bunch of legacy stuff you need to move from Helm 2 to Helm 3. But anything new like we're doing here, just start with Helm 3.
Can you talk about STIGs real quick? What are STIGs, and should I care about
STIGs? So STIGs are special interest groups inside of Kubernetes, and Helm falls under the SIG apps special interest group. And so under SIG apps, you have Helm charts, and a bunch of other stuff.
If I was a beginner or trying to expose myself to this world, is something like this good to get involved in, or should I be just trying to get my
Look,
head
I
wrapped around
think
it? Mm-hmm.
as a beginner, I think you're best starting off with, if Helm is something you're interested in, starting off with Helm, and maybe joining the Slack channel for Helm, which will be under the Kubernetes Slack, and then there's a Helm Dev, Helm Charts Slack channels,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably the best place to get real time help for anything. And then, of course, Helm and the Helm Charts are both GitHub repos, and both have issues and pull requests if you want to interact with the community there.
Awesome.
Once you're pretty proficient, it then may make sense to join SIG apps, or to start joining. There's a bi-weekly Helm developers call where the developers sort of talk through what they're working on and what's coming up, when we're cutting a next release, etc. And that is actually on Thursdays at, I think, 11 a.m. CST. So it was actually just a couple of hours ago now.
So Nib, you mentioned I should crop out a green box. Unfortunately, I don't know what green box you're talking about. Okay.
Oh, we can see a green box around your screen share, but
Oh, that's just Zoom, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because the videos didn't work, so we're just sharing my desktop again.
yeah. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, that's
Nibs
fine.
can live with a green box.
It's true. Okay, so we understand that Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes,
Yeah.
and I've spun up a completely empty uh, Kubernetes cluster, a relatively
Mm-hmm.
big one, which is nice, so we can play with it pretty well um, on the IBM cloud, and that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and just set up Helm. How about let's just start there?
Sure. Is there anything you need to explain with huginn first, or do we want to just roll straight into
I
Helm?
think we should get Helm running and then something simple with Helm on there just to
Okay.
show that it works. I think isn't the demo MySQL question mark?
Well, best way to demo it is to go ahead and actually create a Helm chart. So if you type in Helm space create space huginn,
Oh, okay.
mm-hmm. And then cd into the huginn directory, and just type tree. Yeah. And so you can see you've got, I guess in your base, you've got two files. You've got chart.yaml. That is metadata about your chart. And there was also a values.yaml. And that are the default values that will be rendered into your templates. And then if you do a ls of the templates directory,
LS from the templates. Oh,
these are basically default templates that Helm creates for you, that will allow you to simply run Helm install and get a working application. So if you just type Helm install and give it a name, so call it huginn, and then space and dot.
like that?
Yep. So basically that's giving the release a name of huginn, and dot is saying where the chart is, which is obviously the current directory. Right, and so that has deployed your application for you. So if you do a kubectl get pods,
Wow.
you can see you've got a pod running, and then it's given you a helpful command there. But what I like to do is actually, instead of trying to find the pod name, or actually you have the pod name, so you can go ahead and do that. So you can do kubectl port forward, paste in that pod name, and do 8080 to 80.
Kubectl port
You,
forward
yeah.
word. This guy.
Yeah. You're doing 8080 to port 80.
Okay.
Right? And then in a second Yeah, you can do that, 8080.
Yay!
Right? So that is an application running. Now, the next thing I can show you is how to upgrade that application. So go back to your command prompt,
All right.
break from your port forward.
Okay.
And then I want you to run helm upgrade huginn, and then dot, and then do dash dash. Oh, no, too soon. Dash dash set space open quotes image dot repository equals, and then do you remember if the Apache Docker image is Apache or HTTPD?
HTTPD.
All right, so do HTTPD.
Okay.
Close that off, and I think that's all we need to hit enter. All right, and so now do a cat of values.yaml. And if you scroll up to the top, so basically these are all the default values that get rendered into the templates. And right near the top, you can see there's image, repository, and pull policy. And so we just overrode that image repository from Nginx to HTTPD. And so if you look at your pods again, you should see that there's a new pod that's younger. Uh-oh. Maybe it wasn't HTTPD.
Apache? No.
Is it Apache?
No. Docker, HTTPD, example. Is it Apache's HTTPD? Maybe?
No, it should just be.
HTTPD?
Yeah. Okay, so go back to your command prompt. Do a kubectl describe pod on the failed prod, and let's see exactly what the error is. Failed to resolve reference. Whoa.
Should I do latest then?
Oh, yeah. Ah, yes. Okay, I know exactly what's going on.
What's that?
So what's actually happening? No, don't do that. That'll make it worse.
Okay.
So have a look at your template for the deployment.
So that would be under templates?
Templates and then deployment.yaml. Okay, so everything you see with the curly brackets are things that are being templated in. And so what we're looking for is where it's setting the image. And you can see there, it's got the image is values image repository. And then it's using the chart app version as the tag. So what I usually like to do is change that to be that tag to be values.image.tag.
Oh, okay.
And that way you specify the values, the tag via is being hard coded in the chart.yaml.
Okay.
And then the other thing we can do here to be a little bit cheeky is now add a pipe. Before the close of the brackets. Yeah, and then type in default space, no caps, open quote. Yeah, you have to quote it. Perfect.
With single quotes?
No, double quotes is fine.
Doesn't it get all weird?
No, because the template is rendered out before the YAML is processed. So it'll be fine.
Okay.
So if you save that off.
Yep.
and then run that Helm upgrade again.
And same with
That's all you need to do. Yep, just hit enter.
Okay.
And do a get pods.
Thinking about it.
So that looks a little bit better. Give it a second and try again. And of course, because Helm's templating out a deployment, it's using the deployment mechanism to do the rolling upgrade of the pods. And there you go. You can see the new one running. So if you port forward to that new one, you should then see the new Apache version of it.
Huzzah!
Right? So that's kind of showing you some of the workflows of Helm, creating the Helm chart, deploying it, and then like performing an upgrade and adding a value. Now, what we should do before we move on to the next step is we set that tag value with a default in the template. We should go back and add that to the actual values.yaml. Because most people will use the values.yaml to see what all the settable options are.
Okay.
So go back to the previous directory and go to the values. And then under image, under repository, add a new key called tag. Put latest in there. And save that off.
Now, I was going to say, I did have your "it's working" meme working, but unfortunately, it didn't actually how I wanted to.
It's okay. I can do it on the camera.
Yay! I even had a little button for it. If you notice, I hit up 12 here. That was supposed to bring up "it's working," but it didn't actually.
That's all right.
I tried. I got to try harder.
You did your best.
Yep. Not really.
No.
All right. So, now that we've created this, and if you want to go back to the deployment we created for Huginn, it was just basically a service with a node port and us pulling down the simple container here.
Great.
It's very straightforward.
So what we can do is, now I notice there's no database. Does Huginn not have a database or anything?
So that was going to be a stretch goal. If we got the basic chart working, you can either have MySQL or Postgres, and you can attach it. And I thought it'd be neat to pull in the MySQL version of it. So when you do Helm push the Huginn, it would spin up the MySQL database attached to it, or the Postgres database.
Okay.
Either work. But I want to get the base working first.
Well, why don't we? I mean, I don't think we're going to have any problems with time.
Okay.
So why don't we go ahead and do MySQL? It'll probably take us 5 minutes at most.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to your web browser, and then on the Helm website, there should be docs.
And I'm going to reach out to the chat real quick. Anyone have any questions or thoughts? Can y'all hear us? Smiley face. There we go.
Cool. So under docs, up in the search bar, type in dependencies.
Home dependency.
Oh, there we go. That very first link. That'll. Okay, so scroll down a little bit. Yeah, so you went to best practices. So go back, do that search again, and just hit that first one. All right. So if you scroll down a little bit, so this is telling you how to do dependencies. So basically, in the chart.yaml, you create this dependencies key.
Okay. So many comments.
Yeah. So dependencies. We can just paste that first one in, and then we'll fix it. Yeah.
Could we put both Postgres and MySQL, or would it get it angry?
We can, but let's start with MySQL, and maybe adding Postgres can be a stretch goal.
Okay.
So you need to set, this isn't a Docker image. It's a Helm chart. So go undo what you just did. Yeah. So that repository is important. So now what I want you to do is go back to your web browser.
Okay.
And open up a new tab and go to hub.helm.sh. And then under search charts, type in MySQL.
Nib says hi.
Hi, Nibs. Now, these are the known to the Helm charts community charts for MySQL. There's quite a few there. I usually go for, if there's a Bitnami one, I pick that. If there's not, then I look to see if there's one under stable. But there is one under Bitnami. That's MariaDB, same thing. More or less. We don't need to get too carried away. And then, so that's going to tell you the repository and then also the name of it, right? So MariaDB and repository, so you can go back and fill those out in the dependency.
And the version. No. Do I need to give it the version? Of 7.3.16? Yep, you went silent.
I muted myself. So under chart versions, you can see 7.3.16. So just dump that into version. And then the name should be MariaDB.
Not Bitnami MariaDB? Even though it's MariaDB.
Yeah, maybe it should be that. Let's try that.
Okay. Like that?
All right. Yeah. Now, yeah, you can get rid of all those comments. They're annoying.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's save that off.
Oh, we had a question. Is this chart dependencies? Yes. So you can have
that's right.
databases off of the huginn. We're going to choose MySQL, the first one, so we can kind of wire it together. It's going to be interesting to see how to put it together, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Now back to the Helm doc for Helm dependencies.
All right.
If you scroll down, hopefully, okay, so scroll down, hopefully the link to the best practices.
Nope.
No. So now I want you to look at the best practices for Helm dependencies, because it should tell us there where we can, what's the word I'm looking for? We can actually make them conditional. And so you can actually set a value to say, I do or don't want to use the Helm chart, the Helm dependency. There's conditions. So scroll back up, right? And so copy and paste that line.
Inside dependencies.
Yep. And then obviously that should be MariaDB.enabled, if you can spell it.
No, that's asking a lot.
Perfect. So what that means now is if we don't want MariaDB to be installed here because we're using an external database, we can set MariaDB enabled equals false in values when we install it, and it won't try and install MariaDB. But we do want it installed for now, so we want to go to our values file and create a MariaDB key. I usually don't worry about cleaning those up.
Okay.
Just anywhere. I usually do it like right above service account and stuff, and put in anything. So MariaDB : a bunch of spaces. No, as in enter, and then enabled : true. Great. Now, if you go back to the Helm chart hub for MariaDB, there's going to be ways we can set passwords and create databases via settings. So if you scroll down, you can see here's these. These are all parameters we can set. So if you scroll down, we're going to look for, what are we looking for? Like a username, password sort of stuff. Yeah, there we go, root user.password. So let's go ahead and set that.
In the values.yaml?
Yep. And so that just lives under the MariaDB key.
Like this?
Yep. Yep. And just set that to some garbage. Perfect. And then fling on back, and we'll see if there's an option to create app-specific credentials. There it is, DB name, DB user, and DB password. So that will allow us to, when the chart's first loaded, create those things.
All right. So DB user.
huginn.
Yep. Huginn.
Pass. Oh, is it pass or password?
It's password.
So this is a pet peeve of mine. If you're going to use user, you should use pass. If you want to use password, you should use username.
Absolutely.
Right? Keep those two things consistent.
Consistency is the key to happiness.
Yeah. And I actually like it when you do name, user, pass, because they're the same length, so all the values line up. But then also username and password are also the same length, so they still line up. So password, again, give it something interesting. So now, if you left them blank, it would create random strings. And that's great until you upgrade your application and it regenerates those random strings.
Okay.
So it works great for when you're just testing out a Helm chart, but then you forget about it and you actually go to use it for real and you wonder why your passwords all break. So I always like to hard code the passwords to something that makes it very obvious you should be changing them.
Like that?
Yes. So you should be able to save those off.
I have.
Yeah. And now, what else do we want to do? So that's going to give us our database. I don't think we need to do anything more there.
Yeah, we're not going to.
I assume that Huginn is going to, if there's an empty database, load its, like, do a DB migration.
So right now, this Huginn image has the database inside the actual container.
Okay, well, we're not going to do that. Does it have a separate database, a separate image that doesn't have a database in it?
Not that I know of. But we can override it with environmental variables to point it to an external database.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe on the Huginn website, maybe have a quick look, because it seems unusual they wouldn't have like a single process version. Like I get for using it the first time, it makes sense to maybe have the database in there, but
Hang on.
I doubt they would expect you to run it in production with a database sitting there doing nothing. You search for the word Docker.
Fuel Sable, thank you for the follow. We have the little thing that pops up, but unfortunately it didn't actually pop up. I don't know why. Docker. No Docker install. Here we go.
Perfect.
Oops.
So I assume under doc,
Yep.
there's a directory called Docker. Install. There we go. Configuring linking to a database.
Variables container extractable right there. Yeah.
Wow. All right, I get this. This guy is trying to make things simple for people, but I think he's doing his project a disservice by not having a image that has just a single process. But we'll deal with what we've got. Okay, so it's letting you set the address and port. Is it also letting you set the username and password?
There's gotta be. Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's what we want.
Like that?
Yeah, no, that's going to MySQL, so it's the second one you want.
Oh, good call. So we could create the database called huginn.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that already. So those are environment variables we need to set in our deployment.
Not our values.
Yeah, so those are environment variables that will need to be injected into our application, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you want to go to the deployment.yaml in the templates. Right. And so to set environment variables, I don't think it's setting any right now. So right under image, just create a new line, and do env. Is it env or envs? I always forget which it is. And then you do dash space name, and then value. And so you'll need to do like a few of those, but you've got a, yeah. And then value.
Like this?
You don't have to quote them because they're strings. No. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Okay.
So you're on the next line. No, you're going to do equals. And then next line you do value colon and then put the value in. But we actually want to pull the value in from our values.yaml. We don't want to hard code it. It'd be values dot.
Hang on. Values.
Dot MariaDB.
MariaDB.
Dot
DB user.
Looks right. And then close that off. No, it should be DB name. This is the database name.
Oh, good call. Wait, we don't create the database. Here.
Well, huginn needs to know about the database name, right?
Yeah.
But we don't actually
create an initial database with those settings.
Well, in the values that we set for the huginn database, it will create a database, but it's not going to populate any data in that database.
Got it.
Yeah.
Copy. like that.
Perfect. And then I think we also need the database host and port even.
That was bothering me. What about this? Oh, link.
So that's, if you remember how Docker works, it uses links and turns those links into environment variables. So I think what that means is our environment variable should be huginn MySQL, but in caps. And then our value, I'll explain how that works when you've got that ready.
Okay. So come back over here.
Yeah.
Name huginn underscore MySQL. Huginn underscore MySQL. SQL. Can't type. Value. MySQL.
No. So here is where we need to figure out what the name of the MySQL service will be. Right? Now, thankfully, between Helm and Kubernetes, it's actually quite simple. So if you get rid of where you just typed in MySQL, and then open up a quote and do double mustache. Okay, close the quote. Use double quotes. And you shouldn't have spaces because you don't want empty space in your string. Right. And then inside of that mustache pair, so this is where you're loading from the template, you want to do space dot capital R release dot name and then I think that should be capital R actually, capital N.
So wait, hold on. Slow down. What we are doing here is creating this link right here because this is called.
Yeah.
Isn't it the other way around? No.
So you'll confuse yourself if you look at what Docker's doing, because we're doing something different in MySQL. We're basically setting this environment variable to be the host name of the MariaDB container.
Got it.
Of the MariaDB service, sorry, right? And the MariaDB service should be named for the name of the release dash the name of the chart. So it's going to be release name dash MariaDB.
Which was what we saw up here, right?
No, of the MariaDB chart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it'll be MariaDB, right?
Okay.
So after the close of the mustaches, you want to add dash MariaDB. Okay, that's not a valid host name. We're setting a host name. Yeah. So dash MariaDB. Yeah.
MariaDB.
Cool. So basically that will render into, say we're naming this release huginn. That means the MySQL server will be called huginn-MariaDB.
Got it.
And that way the server will be correct. So I think that's looking good.
Jaska? Sure. Thank you for the follow. If you have any questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. Both Paul and I are watching that too.
Yeah, so I feel like we're coming along. Now that we had to set the ports, right? You said it was port 3000?
So the external port is 3000. Yes, to get to the actual
Yeah,
web,
yeah.
web app.
Show me the deployment.yaml that you used last time,
All right.
because that'll tell us what other things we might need to set. Yeah, so container port and host port. Whoa, why are you specifying a node port?
That was just me trying to get to work.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the only thing we really need to care about is just that it's port 3000.
Okay.
So if you go back to our deployment template,
Down here.
under port, you can see it's set it, so we can just change it to 3000.
Yep.
And then I would also probably comment out the liveness and readiness probes.
At least for now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're pulling those with port 3000. So if you save this off,
I have.
and then in your values.yaml under service, I believe there was a port there. And so cluster IP is fine for now, but port 3000, I think we need.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we save that off, and if we quit out.
Should we mess with the ingress yet?
No, I feel we should just start with a cluster IP and make sure it's working and then work our way up.
All right.
Now, if you want to just test that you've got a pretty good chance of this working, you can do a couple of things. You can do a helm lint dot. You jump into the, right, whatever. And then you can also do helm template dot. Right. So we declared a dependency, but we need to actually fetch that dependency. So if you do a helm dependency update, all right.
Oh, HTTPS.
So go back to your dependencies, your chart.yaml.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, and so you don't even need HTTPS. Maybe you do. Yeah, leave HTTPS in there. Sorry, what you do? Save that off. Try again. I believe
Bitnami here, Bitnami there.
Yeah, so I don't think you need Bitnami in the name.
Yeah. Huzzah!
All right. So now if you look, there's a charts directory we haven't talked about. So do an ls of that. Charts, no capital. So basically Helm dependencies will download the Helm charts, which are literally signed tarballs. And then when you actually do a Helm template or something now, it will actually utilize that Helm chart. So if you do Helm template dot.
That looks good.
Right. And so basically that's going to dump all of the rendered charts, all of the rendered manifests into just standard out. So you can now, in theory, do a Helm upgrade on your already deployed release. And just get rid of that set at the end because we're, And so that will actually reload Nginx back up, but we can make sure that our MariaDB is working. So if you do a Kubernetes get pods, kubectl get pods.
Things are happening.
All right, so you can see MariaDB, and I guess by default it actually creates a replication pair. So that's pretty handy. And they are pending. I wonder why they're pending. Oh, I wonder if they're trying to get storage. Oh no, they're starting to load. So it'll probably have a bunch of weird warnings and errors. Yeah, don't worry about the huginn, because remember it's still just Apache
Oh, it
or
is?
whatever.
No, I changed it.
Yeah, did you
Yeah, I did.
in the?
In the values.
Oh, you did. Okay. Just do a get pods. Okay, so you can see we haven't got MariaDB running yet. It's sitting at pending. So do a describe on the MariaDB master, and I bet you it's waiting for disk.
Damn it. Yep. PVC.
Yeah, which is fine because I think you've got PPCs enabled, right?
Yeah, pending.
But what we could do is you just flip back to your values.yaml. And if we assume that it is following your basic chart, the way basic charts work, under the MariaDB key, create a new key called persistence. Persistence. Yeah, that looks right. And then enabled : false.
Okay.
Yeah. And just switch back to the browser and we'll have a quick look at that we got that right. So under the last tab there. Okay, we have to do master.persistence and slave.persistence because there's two types of servers. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if the Helm chart authors here had done away with the master slave terminologies, even if MariaDB insists to use them, but that's all right.
Yep.
That's a pull request for another time.
Oh, rather large one too.
Yeah. So we can save that. And basically that means next time we install it, it won't try and create the disks.
Perfect.
It'll save us a bit of time. But in the meantime, it's working. So do a get pods again.
Error.
Error. All right. Do a logs on that. Yeah, so that'll be. Remember, we've had these issues before with the FS group, etc., on the IBM Cloud. So I think we can just delete this release and reinstall it, and it will do it without those persistent volumes.
Okay.
So if you just do helm delete huginn, you don't need the dot at the end. Yeah. So just do a kubectl get all. Sometimes it takes a minute for the actual resources to fully disappear.
Yep, just thinking about it.
Yeah. You can't use watch with all. Okay, but it's gone. So now you can do helm install again. And it will install it again and hopefully won't try and do it with its volumes.
These are still here though.
Yeah, I think by default, Helm doesn't delete PVCs because it assumes that you've asked for persistent volumes for a reason. Yeah. You can just do -A, I think.
Oh, really? Nope.
capital A, or just tab it out, whatever's.
For some reason, tab didn't work. Okay.
All right. So yeah, do helm install.
Because we deleted it. We need now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So do a get pods.
Thinking about it. Ooh, that's better. Logs. Pod. Chef.
Yeah, so it's not going to show any logs until it's ready. Do you know about Stern?
Huh?
Do you know about Stern? Stern?
Nope.
All right, so while that's doing, let's have a look at Stern. It'll make your log viewing much, much easier for Kubernetes. I guess just Google for Stern Kubernetes.
Ooh.
You could probably even just do brew install Stern. Yeah. When in doubt on a Mac, just run brew install on a thing and see what happens.
It's true. It is so true.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. iKirkin25. Thank you so much for the follow. Hopefully you're winning some stuff. I know I am.
The good thing about using what are we using to install this? Brew is that every time you install something, it installs the entire internet.
You know, no cookie is very important.
What is it doing? I was joking.
Nope. Oh no, it's removing. Why is it removing?
What did you do?
I don't know. I'm removing Python. Oh my god.
What command did you just run?
Yeah, it's still there.
All right.
JQ.
So do Stern space, and then you just kind of need the start of any of the pods that are running and hit enter. So it doesn't auto complete by yeah. So because you just did huginn, every pod with huginn in its name is going to show you logs. So you'll be seeing logs for MySQL as well as, but let's see, go back because MySQL didn't work.
Yes.
MariaDB didn't work.
I'm taking a note of this multi-log watcher. Perfect. So when I post this to YouTube, I'll put this in the
Gotcha.
whatchamacallit, the comments.
Yeah, so let's figure out why MariaDB isn't working.
Okay.
So just do a kget PVC, make sure it hasn't tried to create PVCs again.
Yeah, it did.
Huh.
Should we break open the chart?
Just do a logs of the master again and just make sure that it is the same problem. So the pod, you're looking at the PVC.
Thank you. Same problem.
Yeah, that is the same problem. Interesting. So, so go back up to the web browser and look at your MariaDB again. So slave dot persistence. Oh, was I wrong about persistence? Just do a word search for the word persistence.
Enabled.
Did you spell persistence with an A?
I did.
Classic JG right there.
That's true.
It's all right. I do that same thing. So don't delete the Helm chart before you delete the PVCs. Otherwise, Helm's going to potentially freak out because it asks for PVCs.
Mm.
And then I'm pretty sure you can do delete PVC dash capital A.
Nope.
No, dash all. Yeah.
There you go.
Some things support dash capital A and some things need the dash all. Because, you know, why would we want consistency?
Oh,
all right, so go back to your Helm chart values and fix the spelling of persistence. Shame on all of you in chat for not picking that up. You've got one job, and that is to stop JJ making a fool of himself.
It's true. It's very true.
Which is not an easy job, so I will give it that. So yeah, Helm install again.
There we go.
Now do get PVC. Let's just see if it's tried to create them.
Nope.
Oh, that's a good start. Get all.
Things are happening.
Get pods. It's really all we care about right now.
There we go.
All right, that looks better. Now, because we're not really doing proper readiness checks for huginn, it just thinks it's running. Clearly, it can't talk to a database, so it's probably not really running. So let's make sure our database is up. So just get run and get pods again.
I'm curious. Yeah, active record is freaking the fuck out.
Yep.
Right there.
So you could just do Stern and the name of that. Just again, huginn, enter. Don't even do the pod name, because that way if stuff's happening in MySQL, you'll see their logs as well.
STERN.
STERN.
ERN.
And just scroll up and see huginn. So huginn's still exiting. Now, I assume huginn's not smart enough to just wait, so it's probably failing and the pod needs to restart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So should we put liveliness checks on the slave and the master first?
Well, they'll get whatever they have. They'll get their liveness checks and readiness checks from their own template, and they're probably defined correctly. So they'll probably come up as you'd expect. So just do a get pods, and we'll see if they're showing as up. kubectl get pods.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're both showing as up now.
Just kill this and see what happens.
Just to do one last tail of its logs.
Go get logs. Pod. Oh, well, okay. How you doing? Just saw you pop up in the chat. Yep. Still not happy.
Interesting.
It's db create, so it's probably waiting for something to show up. Or it was waiting
Yeah.
for it. So, okay.
I guess there must be some sort of process manager happening inside of huginn.
Yeah, it's forming.
There's multiple processes.
Yep.
And so that's probably smart enough to just keep restarting the process rather than having the whole app, the whole container crash, the whole pod crash. So why don't you scroll up and have a look at the actual error?
Connection fused.
So something's not working right because it's trying to connect to localhost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to create a database called my database. So it is not reading those environment variables.
Okay. This is back to the EMD and EMV and EMVS.
Yeah, well, it should have complained if that was wrong. If you do a get pod -o YAML and just see make sure they're showing up there.
Yeah.
Did you not specify
I didn't.
the actual pod name? And you could actually,
Here we go.
yeah, here we go. So that should be right.
It's not doing a remote connection though. Huginn MySQL.
But oh well, yes, you see, database name is wrong because you called the database huginn, right?
Yes.
How did we get that?
That's a good question.
The user.
Database name. DB name. We don't have a DB name.
Oh, you don't have a DB name. How did that happen?
I have no idea. Huginn. Right?
All right.
Hang on.
Yeah. But without setting it, it should have. Both should be using the default, so it should still have worked. But
Delete the deployment. Deployment.
before you do that,
Sure.
let's exec into MySQL and just see if it created a database and what it's called.
Okay, get bots. Okay, exec-it.
-- space bash.
I have no name.
All right, and so just type MySQL, and that will fail. So -u root and -p, whatever you set password to be.
God.
Oh, actually, it'll ask you for the password, so you don't need to put it into the command line. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Show databases. Here's my database.
Okay. Yeah. So because you didn't set it, it's actually just defaulted to my database. But it should have defaulted to that in both places. So this should be working. But it looked to me like Huginn was also trying to connect to localhost rather than actual host name.
Which is going back to this link.
Right. So where's the actual...
So MySQL. Skull. Huginn MySQL.
Yeah, so scroll up. I bet you we're missing something. Like it's supposed to be... there we go.
That one?
Really? Aha. That's what you're looking for. So see under note, you want database adapter, database host, and database port.
All right.
So let's copy those. And then you'll add them to your ends.
We want to put this over as our own thing?
No, you won't need to put them in the values where you're doing them is right. Because they're for now they're known, right? Because we're always going to be MySQL.
Oh, if we want to update
for now at least.
Postgres.
Yeah, we can. I'll show you how we can do that based on which database you enable if we get that far.
Got it. So this would be
So that's copy and paste what we had above. Because we can kill that huginn MySQL variable. Yeah. And then the port will be, I assume, 3306.
Oh yeah, should be right.
And now these are environment variables, which makes them strings. So if you put a number in there unquoted, Kubernetes will freak out.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, that looks pretty good to me. So why don't we save that off, close this, and do a Helm upgrade.
Why? Oh, because we're, yep. Great.
Yeah, because we haven't really changed environment variables. We haven't done anything destructive enough that we would need to destroy.
Links wants to ask, how do the mustaches work?
All right, so the mustaches. So, sorry, what?
I'm gonna turn the light on real quick so people can see.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Mustache. So Helm uses the Go templating language, and in Go templates, the double mustaches are basically saying, run some Go code in here. And so that can be as simple as print this value, or you can do some interesting like for looping, while looping, range looping and stuff, if then else, etc. So basically they just...
Oops, sorry.
I put the n variables in an n file. But wouldn't setting the environment variables in the actual container override whatever is in the n file? If not, we'll need to create a config map called that and load them in there instead. Yeah, so for now, we're just putting the environment variables as environment variables for the container running in the pod. And I was assuming that would be enough to override whatever was going on. If not, we can switch to writing out a .env file. JJ, so we actually changed the database name, if you remember.
Oh, that's right.
And so because we did that, it's attempting to fix the database because it's saying the database has changed. Well, you may not need to delete it. I mean, it's not going to hurt. But
yeah.
I think MariaDB would have come okay in a few minutes. It just needed to reinitialize everything.
Got it.
But that's fine. You deleted it, so just do an install again.
Link's asking some more questions.
Helm gets around having to change the config files. Being difficult. I hope so. I haven't actually ever used huginn before, so I'm just kind of going on how I would usually deploy an app until huginn screams at me, and then I'll figure out why it's screaming at me. All right, so Helm install again.
Yep. Okay, get pods. Oops. Nope. Pods. Just thinking about it.
All right. So again, the database, it usually takes about a minute for the databases to start up because they basically run through some initialization to create users, create databases, et cetera, et cetera. But while it's doing that, do a logs of the huginn pod, and we'll just see if the error is still showing like it's looking at localhost.
It's doing its thing.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry.
Not as sorry as I am. So Link Slumps is talking about the Kube dashboard. It is pretty good, but it's also eminently hackable. So most folks actually disable the Kube dashboard. There's a dashboard called Octant that comes out of VMware. It's open source, and that is a little bit more secure. And you run that on your client instead of running it in the cluster itself, and it inherits your permissions. And so it gives you an approximate of the kube dashboard without giving you something that someone can come along and hack. Now, it is generally older versions of kube and kube dashboard that are super hackable. I'm sure they have made some headway into making it more secure. Famously, Tesla had their kube cluster hacked and someone was mining Bitcoins on the Tesla Kubernetes cluster. I assume they fixed those problems.
This looks like it's
so. Looks like our MySQL is up. Looks like our huginn is up. So you can probably port forward into huginn 3000 and see if you can access it via the internet web browser site.
Okay, kubectl port forward pod
3000. No, it was 3000, wasn't it?
Good call.
And because you want 3000 for both, you only need to type it once. You only need to do the colon if you want to alias support to another. So now localhost 3000.
Connection is reset.
Wah, 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 wah.
Nope. Whoa. Hello.
Yeah, interesting.
Connection fused 3000. So
yeah, so that's your port forward saying that the pod isn't accepting 3000s.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay, so it just hadn't got to the db create thing.
Access denied.
huginn at. Now, is that the IP address of the service, the cluster IP of the MySQL service? Do a kget services?
Nope.
And do a paste of whatever that IP was that you were just looking at in the log?
No.
Okay. What's dot 11?
Not there.
Interesting. I wonder if that's the IP address of a specific pod.
Yes.
Okay, so that's that's the huginn pod itself.
So it's taking, oops. I'm going to move us up here. There we go. So yes, it's still trying to do localhost, but not localhost.
No, it looks like database host is correct. Huginn MariaDB. It's saying the access is denied for huginn coming from this IP address. Right. So why don't you have a look and see if you can exec into the huginn pod? And just see if it's got MySQL client on it. It seems to be pretty fat. Just hit enter on MySQL and make sure it's got the client there. It does. Yeah, cool. So just see if you can connect to the username, port, pod, etc.
It is this guy.
Just use the service name.
Oh.
Huginn-MySQL. Huginn-MySQL. No, Huginn-MariaDB.
Yep.
Yeah.
Password was.
I wonder if you're having problems with dollars.
Nope. Oh,
Yeah, I bet you that those dollars are doing something funny when they're getting passed through. Like at some point, they're probably being run through a shell,
mm-hmm.
and they're trying to turn them into a variable or whatever.
All
So
right.
yeah, in my experience, it can get kind of funky when you do shell special characters in YAML like that. We could have probably quoted them out, but I think it's safer to do what you did.
Yep. We have the resources. We have the
Yeah.
ability. Let us just delete it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Hey, link slumps. We are not using Ingress yet. And we can run a secret service, but we're just trying to kind of use the Kube native bits to get it up and running. And then we can look at using Ingress and maybe using an external secret of some sort. But we're just trying to start with the lowest common denominator, so there's less places for something to go wrong. Because, in that usual way, you do a bunch of stuff and iterate on it until it actually works. How are we going pod-wise?
We're getting there. And Link, no, we're directing. We're connecting directly to the. We're doing port forwarding right now.
Yeah, that's right. We're doing port forwarding, which forwards a port from your local host on your base machine to localhost inside of the pod. And so it kind of bypasses the need for any kind of special load balancing or ingress or anything like that. I wouldn't set up a load balancer or ingress until I was certain that the app had a fairly secure pair of credentials in front of it. Otherwise, anyone on the internet would then be able to access it.
Yes, and no, we could use a node port or something, but being that
Yeah, so we do. Yeah, so we have a service, and that service is currently set for a cluster IP. But right now with port forward, we don't even need a service. We're just kind of getting one because the Helm chart sets one up by default.
CZ, you want to take a couple minute break? While this is
Sure.
still spinning up?
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Back in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, just a couple minutes. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Yeah, I feel like we're coming along. Oh, dude, it's working. It's working. Dude, I can't tell you how many times special characters and stuff screwed me when doing this stuff. And it's funny because I almost called you out when you put them in and said, don't do that, it'll break. And then I was like, no, it'll be okay. It'll work this time. Fucking idiot. Right? All right. Yeah, I gotta make a pit stop. Oh, you can really hear us? Did JJ not mute his stuff? Hey JJ, you didn't mute anything, so our chat and everything after you went on break could be heard. Luckily, we didn't say any rude words about anyone, I don't think. For once, we didn't just start like dumping shit on people. All right.
Well, sorry about that. I'm gonna just be super nerdy and tell you that I run this from a Mac if you haven't been able to see, and using Zoom to catch the audio for hearing Paul requires us to use a third-party thing, but then I can't actually hear it because it doesn't go through my headphones. And if I forget to turn off the mic aux on Audio Mixer, which I almost always do, it leaves it wide open. Luckily, it's not a big deal. Learning as I'm going. Cool. So let's just take a
Are you sure? Oh. You got your screen up again?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing. Oh, maybe it's just taking a while to get to Twitch.
Yep. No, according to the stream preview, it's up. So just to make sure that we've all seen what's doing, we've gone over some basic Helm already. We've actually done a little bit with huginn. Haven't actually talked about what it is, but that's fine. We've got our deployment and actually started to work with it and actually converted it to a Helm chart. And we've actually gotten it to start actually working. Check it out. Basically, well, if you had heard, it kicked off as soon as we went to the be right back screen. So I'm pretty happy with this.
Cool. Link slumps. I believe this is going to end up on YouTube, so you can catch up with the stuff that we were doing that you might have missed before you joined from there. You got your port forward working?
No, because it's the wrong pod.
Yeah, so what I want you to actually do is do a kubectl get service.
Get service. Okay.
And then do a kubectl forward, port forward, svc/huginn. And then obviously the port number.
So what are we doing right there?
So basically, that's using the service to tell you what pod is currently up. So you don't have to know the actual pod name.
Perfect. So
cool. So now where are we at right now? So we've got a login page. Do we have an admin username password?
We do.
Where did they come from?
That actually just comes from the README. It's just admin password.
Right, but are they settable via environment variables?
That's a very good question.
Because if they're settable via environment variables, we can make them Helm variables.
Yes. That's a very good question.
So go to the huginn actual GitHub again. And then I wonder where we would see that. Maybe under config.
Oh, hold on. Copy. Let's take a look at the env example. Manifest a sample. What the hell is this? Maybe. possibly. Just thinking about it. Oh, it's for Cloud Foundry.
Cloud Foundry. Huh. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's database stuff. Force SSL, we don't care about that.
We should turn that on, shouldn't we?
Well, usually when you have an EMS file like this, anything that's commented out is showing you what the default is. So that's, I think, effectively telling us that the Rails end is default unless we set it, right?
Okay.
So any of this stuff looks like we could set it via variables. So is there a password? Oh, we can do Twitter OAuth and stuff. On GitHub OAuth. Oh, do we want to auth this via GitHub?
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So.
So
we wanted some values, right?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things we can do. We can create, this might be a good way to start, is create a list called extra envs. So extra capital E NVS.
And why is it capital?
So YAML is supposed to use camel case. And so camel case, you use a capital to say that it's like a second word. So like in Python, you would use snake case and you do extra underscore envs. But in YAML, the convention is generally the camel case with the first one being lowercase. So you can see that's why service account has a capital A.
Got it.
Unity pod security group has capital S, capital C. Nice. And that also follows the Go standards for when you're defining structs in Go. They're also lowercase, uppercase, camel case, unless they are like global function names, in which case you start with them with a capital, just to be confusing. And so if you do extra envs and then do dash name and dash name and value pairs, and then we can go ahead and do like an example pair. So it was like, was it OAuth underscore GitHub or?
It was OAuth GitHub key.
So actually grab the URL to this file. Yeah. And then go back to the comments, and above this, put that in as a comment so that people know where they can go to find any of the settable environment variables. Right. And then let's set the OAuth key and secret. I think that's a good start.
Yeah. Do GitHub. There we go.
And so get rid of the rest of the ones. We don't need to add anything more for now.
Yeah, right.
Now you'll need to go and create a key and secret, but you'll also want to do that in the privacy of a browser that you're not sharing on Twitch.
Yep. Just thinking about it. And is this when GitHub is down?
Surely not.
Not getting to it.
All right.
Oh, according to link, GitHub is down. Lovely.
Well, let's not do that then.
Yes. Twitter it is.
So maybe since we already have this, while we already have this page open, just do a search for password or pass and see if there is a way to set the admin password. So database password, we don't care about that. Minimum password length. Oh, reset password within, that's cool. But it looks like...
No.
Scroll down further, user authentication and registration.
User authentic. Yep.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Skip invitation code, require confirmed email. Okay, it looks like it's just going to set a default admin password, and that's fine. But that is also one of the reasons I like to start with a port forward, right? Because for anything that sets a default password, it is immediately insecure and hackable until you set that. So by not doing an ingress or a load balancer, we're protecting ourselves from the outside world until we have the chance to go and set that.
Yes.
So why don't you go to Huginn and set a strong password, or just set a password that's not whatever the default one was.
All right. Account. Username.
Nibs to GitLab.
Yeah. Where'd it go? There it is. Trying to be secure. Again, admin, generate. That works for me. Copy. Current password is. Oops. Password. Update. Don't update.
All right, so you've done that.
Hang on. Log out. Log in.
Good idea.
Admin. New password. There we go.
All right. Do we want to like enable ingress now?
Sure.
Cool. So let's go to your values. So for where you've got extra envs, what I like to do here is set extra envs to be an empty list. So under colon, just do like open square bracket, close square bracket. No, on that same line. Right? So that's telling YAML that this is an empty list, and then comment out name and the two environment variables that are there, right? And that's effectively meaning that currently it's empty, but this is how you would fill it out.
Got it.
And so at some point, we'll actually add the extra envs into the deployment template. But there's no point doing that right now because we're not actually testing that. Yep. So instead, we'll look at our service and ingress. Right?
Sorry. Had to phone then.
You need a GIF. It's not working.
Yeah, right. Well, just grab this. Just grab this image.
Right.
Like, it's not working. Actually, it's not a horrible idea.
Anyways.
Yeah. Hang on. Where'd it go? There it is. Crosshair.
All right, JJ, don't get distracted. We're trying to work here.
Sorry.
You can be cute later.
No, I really can't. That's the problem.
Well, there is that. So we're on IBM Cloud, right?
Yes.
Does it provide ingress for you?
Yes.
Or do you have to run your own ingress controller?
No, it does provide an ingress subdomain.
Okay, great. Oh, that's a fun subdomain.
Hmm.
All right, so copy that.
I have.
Yeah, great. And then in the values, you can paste that there. And will it do? Let's not worry about HTTPS because we need to do Cert Manager or something first. We don't really care about annotations because you're not using Nginx anyway. So that's setting hosts and then paths. That looks right. Now, is that a wildcard DNS?
I believe so.
So does that mean you want to have a huginn dot Kate Zashgar?
Um, I don't know.
Or do you want to have Kate Zashgar blah 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 / huginn? I guess just grab a thing and just like do a host on that name, that subdomain.
I did not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about it. There we go.
Okay. And then what if you put huginn dot at the start of that?
It worked. It's enabled.
Cool. Yeah. So it is a wildcard DNS, which is good. That means we can call it huginn dot on the host.
Okay.
And then I think that's all you need to do. Ingress is enabled, set to true. Do you need to be a node port for IBM Cloud's Ingress, or is cluster IP okay?
I think the
All right.
is fine.
Let's find out.
Yes.
So let's save that off and then do a Helm upgrade.
Ooh. Paths.
Okay, we do need paths. So I think you need to. I'm trying to remember how. No, don't undo what we just did.
Okay.
All right. So maybe have a look at the Ingress template and have a look what it's getting out of paths and see if we need to just have like literally / or if we need to do / should go to a particular service. So range paths.
Right here.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So you just need to put a single item in path, which is /. So go back to your values. And so inside of those square brackets, because it's still a list,
Okay.
/ sure.
No spaces.
No spaces. That'll just confuse things.
Lovely.
Probably quote it, just because it looks weird like that. Yeah, perfect. And so in YAML, you can use square brackets for lists and curly braces for dictionaries, which means if you've only got 1 or 2 items in a list, often it's easier to do the square bracket definition of a list rather than a bunch of character returns and counting tabs and stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's save that off and do a Helm upgrade.
Just thinking about it. There we go.
Cool. And now and see,
it changed.
Notice it's smart enough to know that because you enabled Ingress and you gave it the URL, so it's smart enough to tell you.
Huzzah!
So it's now up on the internet.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
If we had Cert Manager or external DNS running on this cluster, we could also even do automatic TLS.
Let's do it.
Well, let's make sure we have huginn
okay.
running how we like it. So let's log in, make sure it's still working.
Oops. Copy. Paste. Yep.
Cool.
Copy.
Now, the other thing I was going to ask
Mm-hmm.
is, right now, the way Huginn's set up, is anyone allowed to register as a user?
That's a good question.
Right, so go to logout and go to sign up.
No, because we don't have any working email. You get an email to log in.
I don't know. Do you have working email?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there we go. There's your answer right there. Invitation code. We are not yet open to the public. If you have an invitation code, enter it here.
Yeah. Though
So
if we're looking at the env file, they know what we've done. We set it to default. If you remember, as obviously we should change this now. Over here to this to that.
Oh, yeah.
So we should change that.
We should.
And this
And now I feel like that's something that should be a setting, not an extra env.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to think of, like, if it's something that's essential, it should be part of the general Helm chart.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, then you use something like extra envs. So I would not use it in extra envs. I would actually create a invitation code item, right? Yeah, invitation code.
I can't spell.
Right. So using the camel case, you do capital C for code.
Oh, I'm with you now.
Colon. No, you just want to set, no. You're not defining an environment variable in here. You're just creating a key value pair. So invitation code, and then like, please change me. Yeah, and stick them in quotes just because it looks nicer. Right.
Is there a way for us to put a conditional to be like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was going to show you what we can do there. So let's add that as an environment variable in our deployment now.
Okay.
Yeah, and so name is, and this is where you want to do invitation code in caps, because this is your environment variable.
Nope.
I'm going to need to send you to a spelling school.
You really do.
Value, and then that will be the, yeah, values dot invitation code.
Invitation code.
Yeah.
I'm catching up.
And then because this could potentially have, we should probably actually do that. Yeah. And we should have done that for the database as well. So why don't you just do that to the database as well, the database password. And that might have helped protect against the problem we saw earlier. Now save that.
I have.
Yeah, and then open up the templates notes.txt.
Whoa.
So create some new lines right at the top.
at the top.
Right. And then do a double mustache and do the dash at the front. Yep. Do you know how the dashes work?
No.
So the dashes at the start or end pair of the mustache basically tell it whether or not it should create a new line. And so basically by putting the dash there, you're saying don't create a new line. So when this template's rendered, it will be as if this line was never there. If you didn't have that dash, you'd have an empty space where this was.
Got it.
Right.
Values. We have a question in the the channel. If you answer that for me, please.
So generally speaking, YAML's not very well typed, but it is somewhat typed. So if you have a key value pair of hello and bacon, it's going to go, okay, bacon is a string, so therefore it's a string. If you have a value pair of hello 66, it's going to go, okay, 66 is a number, not a string, and therefore it's going to type it as a number. But sometimes you want that number to be a string. And like when you're setting environment variables, so you actually want to quote 66. And then also same thing when you're doing like special characters and stuff. It's often just good practice to quote them out because you don't know what weird libraries are processing the YAML. Yeah, exactly. It's weakly typed. You got it. I don't need to ramble on. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't know if that's right, but it looks like it could be right.
So that is not right. So first of all, at the end of it, put a space before the closing curly brackets. Not the top, in the if statement. Yeah. And then it doesn't know what equals is. So get rid of the equal sign and then go to right before values. So at the start of the line, yeah, and just do EQ space. Right.
Oh.
You got it.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a very mustache thing, huh?
And then invitation code is camel case.
Is it?
Yeah. So capital C.
I don't believe you.
Well, if it's not, you didn't listen to me when I said to do camel case. Oh, look, it's camel case.
I don't believe anything you ever say.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
There we go.
All right. And then, like, I feel like that's not a very good warning. So I would actually like put a big fat line of stars above and below that. Yeah. Yeah, link slumps. I can't remember if when you pass it into kubectl, I can't remember if it will parse it into JSON first or if it will just parse the YAML straight. I actually think it might just parse the YAML straight because I don't think JSON is JSON typed? Like you do quotes around numbers and strings in JSON, right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, so JSON is probably typed the same way YAML is, probably fairly weakly. So you would probably see the same issue if you're doing JSON and didn't quote numbers. Well, actually, I guess that's the difference is JSON is a bit more strictly typed because it requires that you have quotes around. What did you do? It requires you have quotes around strings, whereas YAML doesn't require it. What are you doing? What have you done?
Testing it.
Why are we getting that error?
There we go.
Ah, perfect.
So it deployed it.
Now, what was that? What was
That
that
was an
error you
Emacs
were
thing.
getting?
It was an Emacs thing.
Oh, all right. Good job.
So it deployed it,
Yep.
but it gave me an error.
Where's the
Right?
error?
Or is
No,
this
there's no error.
no? So if I do it
That's
again,
that's the note that you just wrote.
yeah. But if I do it again, do I see a revision 4?
Only if something changes.
But it didn't
So do
bomb out.
it. Do
It
it.
still deployed it, right?
What?
Did it still
Wait,
deploy?
what? But there's no error. What are you talking about?
Please change the invitation.
That's literally the warning you just put into the notes.
Correct.
So that's not an error.
Oh,
It's just text being displayed on the screen.
got it. Okay.
Right.
So I was expecting it to like stop the deployment, being like, "Oh, it's not here."
So you can have it stop the deployment if you want. And you do that. There's a templating thing that lets you throw an error, and you would put that in there. But I feel like I like to give warnings for stuff like this because like when I give someone a Helm chart, I want them to be able to do a Helm install and get a functional Helm chart.
Got it.
Right? Then when they actually run it in production, then we should be showing them what they're doing wrong by not putting values in. Okay. So I feel like this is about the right approach to deal with that. In the same way we used some default passwords instead of using random strings.
Good point.
Like we could have used a random string for the invitation code, but again, that means every time we upgraded or deployed the Helm chart, it would change that. And that's not necessarily expected behavior like for a new person. And so it's going to frustrate them. And so it goes back to that, when you install Elasticsearch for the first time, there's no password and you get hacked, right? And so there's some argument about secure by default versus like having it just work by default. And I feel like having it just work by default is important.
Yes.
So why don't you shoot me that URL in Slack, and I'm going to see if I can sign up.
Oh, okay.
And that way I'll use my email address and stuff and see what happens. And that way you can keep going through other stuff.
Copy. Paste.
Okay. Now, if you go back to your values.yaml. So there's a few things here that are JJ specific, right? So that at least that ingress URL is JJ specific.
Very much so.
And so that shouldn't be in the default hosts.yaml. And in fact, ingress being enabled shouldn't be in the default values.yaml. So what you should do while I'm seeing if I can log in is find anything that's JJ specific and create a second values file and put them in there and take this values file back to sensible defaults.
What do you call it? Values.
Whatever you want. JJ-values. Like, yeah. And I will be back in a second when I see if I can log into that thing.
Okay. Oh, we didn't put in. Shit. MariaDB.
Okay, so I was able to sign up for an account. It doesn't actually verify your email.
Oh,
And so I signed up for an account and it automatically logged me in.
that seems like a problem.
Well, that's why I wanted to verify that and at least change the invitation code. Because at least if you don't tell people the invitation code, then they won't be able to log in.
Yeah.
They won't be able to register. And I'm going to check my email and see if I still somehow got an email.
User management. Yep, there you are.
Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't sent me an email, but we kind of expected that. But good to know that it let sign up.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's an environment variable that would allow us to not allow signups, and that's probably something we should set by default.
Okay. I think I did see that.
Yeah.
Confirm their email address.
Require confirmed.
After they send.
Right, but I feel like there should be an option to just say, just don't allow anyone to sign up.
Mm.
Like if you were running this at home, there would never be a time you wanted someone to join it unless you purposely invited them.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that means you would go ahead and like create an account for them, or you would, I guess, let them use ODBC. But that's fine. I think really what you just need to set here then is the require confirmed email. So I feel like we should set that to true by default.
Yep. I agree. Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was one other setting we might want to set, which was unconfirmed access.
What was
It
that?
was like something about how long an unconfirmed person should allow access.
If required, set to true.
Oh, I
Set the
see.
duration. Needs to confirm. No. Right?
Hang on a minute. Okay, I feel like there's something missing here because we never want unconfirmed access. So does that mean we want that to be 0.days? Yeah, so I think we want allow unconfirmed access for to be set to 0.days.
Okay.
So you want a colon, not as equals.
Thank you. And this is probably in a quote, right?
Yeah.
Like that. We are locking it down.
Hey, I'm told that you're pretty low volume wise on the Zoom.
How about now? Is that a little bit better?
Hey, talk to me.
How about now? Is this better? Turn the gain up. How about now?
Oh no, you're super quiet.
Uh-oh. How about now? I'm speaking. Words are happening. This is not good. I can hear myself pretty well. How about now?
Yeah. Well, just you keep talking over yourself right as the stream says your words, but you still seem quite quiet on the stream.
Hello.
All right, Linksum says you sound fine.
How about now?
But
Is that better? I turned it up. This is probably even louder. Like super loud. Hopefully. Maybe.
that seems to be better. That'll be good enough.
Okay.
You definitely sound better than you did earlier.
Okay, cool.
All right, where were we at?
Uh,
Allow unconfirmed access for. Well, that's a allow unconfirmed access for. Yep, perfect. So I guess you can save that.
Yep. And then upload.
Then do a helm upgrade again.
Okay. There we go. Ooh. Oh, that's right. I split it out. So
oh yeah, so you've got that second file.
Yes.
And so where you do your helm upgrade command,
mm-hmm.
You just want to add -- values and path to that file.
Like that?
Yeah. And so basically whatever's in the default values will get rendered in unless they're overridden by whatever you pass through, either as a file in -- values or via -- set if you want to do key values directly.
Awesome.
So when you turn this into a Helm chart, you'll actually want to move that my values to somewhere else because you obviously don't want to upload that to GitHub.
Yeah. There we go. I'll try to sign up. Invitation code. Please change code.
Well, do it. Yeah, that's right. Invitation code.
We're sorry, but something went wrong.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Do a Coop Cuddle get pods? Do a stern on that? Maybe it was just still starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Give it a minute.
Oh, that's what we should do. We should try and figure out a suitable readiness check.
Oh, good call.
Yeah. So check your URL now. Your ingress. Sign up. That's better. Huh.
Okay.
Did you already try once before?
I guess. All right.
Isn't it plus you want, not dot?
No, I have another email. Oh.
Wow. Someone needs to work on their regex. Because dot is absolutely a valid thing to have in an email address. But it's not going to send an email anyway, so feel free to just put whatever garbage you want in there.
Yep. Nope.
Huh.
Oh, here we go. That was a token.
I wonder if it doesn't like us saying 0 days.
Yeah. That makes sense. Set this to 1.
Yeah. Yeah, set the default to 1 and see what happens.
Give it a minute.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Did it not?
You changed it. You did the Helm upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 6.
Do we get pods?
Nope.
Do we get RS?
Nope.
Okay, so we just changed an environment variable, right? Or at least we think we did. Go back up to your template. Values allowed unconfirmed access for. Did you paste that from the values?
Pretty sure I did.
I'm just wondering if maybe there's a typo in there. Seeing it. It looks the same. Right. Try one more time.
7.
Okay, get pods.
There we go.
There we go. So we must have just misspelled that. We weren't seeing the misspelling.
I hear I have problems spelling.
Rumor goes. That's going to take about a minute, it seems. It takes Huginn to get working. I'll be right back.
Good. If anyone has any questions or thoughts, Link, thank you for interacting with us. It means a lot. And give this a little bit longer. Stern. Well, that's not good. Could be just one of the startups. I appreciate it, Dave. David can help. If you want to check it out.
All right, are we working?
We might actually be in a bit worse state.
Why? What have you done?
GitHub.
Whatever you're doing is off screen, so I can't see it.
Yeah, I know. That's fine.
Okay.
Copy. And then where is... Here you go. There we go. Yeah. I don't even know what that means. It's warning.
So that's your database. That's your database logs.
So
that's probably fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look, it was showing the pod name that the log line was coming from.
Ugh. No. Stop it. Nope.
All right. Well, it clearly does not like something that's happening here.
No.
Let's.
No, these are just crowns.
Yeah, that's just stuff going on. The website's definitely working, but something. It's weird. It's not showing us any like HTTP output.
Can we still log in? Log in. Admin. I thought I added you. What the hell? Copy. It's because I didn't save it. Of course. Paste. Ooh. Okay. We've locked ourselves out.
Did you not save the password? Because you changed the password, remember?
Yeah, I did. Remember we were able to log in and log out with it.
But what did you change the password to?
A really long string.
Oh, you saved that somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you didn't save it.
No. Or helm. So this is the time we should probably just nuke it and build it again, right?
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. I would probably comment out those two environment variables we created that seem to break things.
All right.
And you can always come back to those. Yeah. So instead of worrying about that, let's get a liveness and readiness probe working.
Seems reasonable.
So save that off and do a kubectl. Well, don't do one yet because we don't know what's going to work.
Oh.
And if you get it wrong, the liveness check will constantly delete the pod.
Got it. Oh. What the?
You just hit U to undo whatever you just did.
I'm trying to comment those out.
Yeah, but they were commented out. Couldn't you undo?
Yeah. My other comment didn't work. Okay.
So helm install.
We do install this time with the values of my value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. And off we go. So, yup, the lad down the cans. Any tips for staying positive in the job search? You go through the first time and look for a summer internship, and it's been really rough. Yes. Breaking into the industry, CZ. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think what Project Start just said, like, you just gotta kind of put your head down and just keep on going and try and deal with the rejection, try and deal with the negativity, and just be as positive as you can. It's like dating, right? Sometimes you need to go on 30 or 40 first dates before you find someone worth having a second date with.
It's true.
Except when you're dating, you're not relying on them liking you to actually put food on your table. So there is that whole needing to survive in the meantime.
When I first started mine, I used what I call the shotgun method. Anything remotely close to Linux administrations, I just sent my resume to it. No questions asked. If the word Linux was in it, I just kept sending my resume over and over again. And I eventually got the muscle memory and be able to interview, be able to ask the right question. It's one of those things, back to what CZ said, you just got to keep trying. Eventually someone will bite. You're not going to be senior engineer when you first start, right? You're not going to get the cool stuff. You've got to put your time in, understand how companies work. And a lot of the time, you're only with the company for a year or two, and then you move on, because very rarely do companies promote up. You usually have to move over one to be able to move up in your career. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and as far as keeping a positive attitude, I mean, I think you just need to go in with the expectations that it's going to be a pretty shitty time and experience actually getting those first few jobs. And just understanding that. And I think even just accepting and understanding that it's going to be a pretty horrible time goes a long way to being able to be a bit more positive about when it is a pretty horrible time.
Yeah. It's also in engineering in general, in the DevOps space, if you're going in that path, you're not a rock star by any standard in the business's eyes. You're a cost center. You make sure the business lives and survives. Something breaks, you are going to have to fix it. And don't get me wrong, we have fun while doing it, especially if the stuff interests you. But you need to realize that you're mid-tier on the totem pole, if you will. It's just this is the way the industry is.
Yeah, I mean, at least like when you're first starting out, it's totally a numbers game. At some point when you're a few jobs in, where you've got some experience under your belt, you've built a network, it stops being a numbers game and starts being more about the network that you've built.
It's true.
Especially in our industry. And so finding ways to build a network even before you get that first job is pretty important. Going to your local meetups that are of interest. So if you're interested in DevOps, like DevOps meetups, Kubernetes meetup, Cloud Native meetup,
or the virtual meetups,
specific language,
the virtual meetups.
There'll be a Python meetup, there'll be a Golang meetup, And yes, they're probably virtual meetups right now. The current situation is probably making it a little bit even more difficult, but that's just how it is right now. Yeah. But at the moment, like as soon as you build up a decent network, I feel like if nothing else, you have a bit of a support network to like help you along from the attitude and whatever perspective as well.
And
All
it's
right,
building
so
community. It's still
where are
going.
we at here, JJ?
It's still building. It's
Still
Rails.
building? No,
Yeah.
it's got to be running.
Nope.
Don't forget, we weren't really seeing any hint that it was actually running. Like we weren't
No,
seeing
we
any.
see those cron jobs running.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, get.
So do I get pods?
Okay, get pods. Okay, get.
Do a curl against port forward and do a curl into that pod.
Ah, crap. Curl local host 3000. Oh, there it is.
So I think the next step is to try and figure out if they have like a health endpoint, or if you're gonna have to kind of fake it. So if you go to maybe go to their GitHub and just search for health or status.
Admin password. There we go. So we should change that. Copy. Paste. And paste. Update. Okay. One last time, because I'm paranoid. Admin password. No. Perfect. Okay. Huginn. Health. Maybe in the routes. Where's the routes? Where did I put the routes?
I'm muted. I would go up to yeah, exactly.
Config routes. Routes. I'm thinking we can try.
Their worker status
Worker status seems reasonable.
or about.
Oops. Workers. Was it underscore status? Underscore. Underscore status. No. Damn it. No, see, kick. Maybe the login.
Yeah.
How about the login?
You want something that is gonna give you a 200 on an unauthenticated.
Yeah, so the login, not the home, not the main page, but at least the login. So at least it knows that it's, yeah.
But then here's the other thing: is you don't want to do something that takes up resources. And so if you're trying to go to the login page or something, it's probably hitting the database a bunch of times. So that's why most apps these days have like a health endpoint, where they'll kind of do some very basic things that don't take a lot of resources to check the health.
About.
Perfect. And that's unauthenticated?
Yep.
All right. So if we switch back to the Helm chart now.
Ooh, interesting. That's a bug. About here goes to the GitHub page. If you go to /about, it says example page header.
Well.
All right.
So do the readiness check first. Leave liveness probe for now.
Okay. About?
Yeah, about. And save that.
Did?
Yeah.
Upload?
And so the reason I said leave liveness check is if the liveness check fails, it will kill the pod.
Mm.
If the liveness check hits before the app is running, it'll kill the pod, and the app will never ever run because it will get in this fail loop. And so you need to figure out how long it takes to start the app, and then you put in like a delay number of that many seconds or more than that many seconds. And so it'll give it, say, 5 minutes before it actually starts up. I can't remember what the actual key is in the configs, but if you Google for liveness check, you should see what the key is for setting a delay.
Oh, there's been more conversation. Oh, yeah, it's true. Everything in the Nebulizer and Nimbus said, Nimbidatus. I know her in real life, but I can't pronounce her screen name for the life of me.
Nimbinatus, how is that hard?
Dude, I can't say supercalifragilistic. Ugh. Anyway. Calling it back. Initial delay.
Yeah, initial delay.
And then every X amount of seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So, about... And that is under the main.
Yeah, so it's at the same level as HTTP GET. That's right. So I would say, like, give it 300 seconds. What's that, 5 minutes?
Yes.
And then I would probably do every 30 seconds. This doesn't need to be a performant app.
Yeah, it's just making sure it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, so do a Helm upgrade on that.
There we go. Okay, get...
Nimbinatus. Nimbinatas. Now I'm saying it wrong because I'm trying to do it right.
Alright. Okay, get pods. There we go. Starting it up. And it's running. Took only about 30... Well, it's not doing all the Rails stuff because it's already there. We didn't move any of the databases or anything. The real test would be for us to blow it all away again and then rebuild it to see if the liveness comes right. Right?
Yeah, so now what's interesting here is if you do logs of that, I bet you it's not fully running. I wonder if...
You're right.
Can you actually access the website right now? Maybe it is running.
Nope. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, just took it a second. And can you actually go to the actual like login page?
Give me the password. Copy. And paste. Yep.
Okay. Well, I feel like we're in a pretty good space here. Might be a good time to start wrapping up.
Okay.
There's definitely a few takeaways. I think we should probably follow up with maybe a work in progress pull request, adding the Helm chart to the Git repo. So do we want to do that?
Yes, give me 2 seconds. My values.
I would not do a git ignore. I would simply move that to another directory.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right? Because when you think about how you do GitOps, right, you never
Yeah.
put your environment values in the same directory as your code values.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Perfect. So have you already got the huginn git? I wouldn't do a git init. I would add this to the huginn repo.
Okay.
There's no need for this to have its own repo, unless that's what he wants.
I don't think so.
But I would say, have you got a clone of the huginn repo?
I should. See, GitHub, com, huginn. Yep. The huginn. Git checkout master. Git pull. Git checkout.
All right. So has he already got some Kubernetes stuff in here?
Sort of. There's got a deployment directory. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I would say in the deployment directory, we create a Helm directory.
Helm? All right.
Yeah.
And
then here, I would copy that chart into here, but I would copy it as that name huginn, because Helm likes the name of the chart to match the directory that it's in.
Okay.
So that'll stop. If you could just call it like chart or something, it would fail Helm lint.
huginn helm chart to do usage create a override values YAML.
So I would not worry about that right now. Right?
Okay.
It's installable as is. So I would, if you're going to put any instructions in there, I would simply put in the instructions that, Helm install, and basically just show the Helm install command to install it. We can fill out a proper README later. There is actually a pretty prescribed way to write a Helm chart README, and so we can come back and fill that up. Yeah. And then, yep.
And then we want to copy. No, we don't, because it's all under that same license. Right? We don't have to add any license.
Yeah. So, what all is currently in this directory?
Default.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, wait. Did you save? Where did you save the README? In the huginn itself.
In the huginn directory.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So you'll want to also make sure there's a git ignore in the huginn chart to not upload the embedded chart.
Oh, got it. So that's under the charts.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, you did that wrong.
Did I?
Yeah, you just put that in the huginn directory and told it to ignore the huginn directory.
Ah, yeah.
So just charts, yeah. Probably charts star, maybe even. I don't know. That's probably fine.
Yeah, that's fine. So we got git ignore, helm ignore, chart lock, chart YAML, readme that doesn't have anything, templates.
You'll need to do a helm dependency update in the readme. So it should go above install, right?
Yeah. Dependency update.
I think it's E dependency that has an E instead of an A, right? Yeah. Helm dep update.
Like that?
Yep. Perfect.
No period.
No dot. Wait, is there a dot? Yeah, there is a dot. Yeah, sorry. I think there's a dot.
Okay. All right. Status. Anything else?
I feel like that is about it. So git commit -s. You don't do a -s?
Right here.
Oh, you already have that in your... Okay.
Here, send me your email address.
You know my email address, username taken @gmail.
But Paul, God damn it,
CZARKOWSKI.
God damn it. KOW.
SKI.
SKI. There we go. Username
taken @gmail.com.
gmail.com. Oh shit. Amend. Whip a
helm chart for deploying huginn.
Deploys a basic installation of huginn. Deploys MariaDB/MySQL as the dependent. I can't spell. Dep for huginn. Yeah, it works for me. Get remote -v get push JJ JJC HBR. There we go.
All right, I'm back. Did you miss me?
I did.
You didn't even notice I was gone.
No, I did. Your little video finished. All right. Feeling good?
Cool.
And as you see, we gave you the commit. There it is.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we end, I want to have a look at their Docker file.
Okay.
Um,
Don't actually know where it is. I'm assuming
well,
it's in here.
it'll be in their repo somewhere. Hang on, slow down.
Docker.
So usually in here, you would either see like a Docker file at the root, or you'd see like a make file or a script or something.
Docker ignore.
Right.
I think it's in the Docker
There
directory.
we go. Build Docker image. What does that do?
Pulls the image. Runs Docker wrapper. This seems dumb.
Oh, settle.
Docker test. Docker
Oh,
file.
huginn single process. I reckon we should be running that. Do it. Copy that and like do a Docker pull on it locally and just see if that's a real image.
Yep.
Okay. But I still want to see how it's made. Is it do a search for Docker file? Look up in the search box. Docker file.
Every time. Develop.yaml. Docker single process.
Oh yeah, Docker multi-process, Docker single process. All right. So let's look in the code. You can just click on the. No, I guess.
Oh really?
Not.
I didn't know that. Docker.
So, yeah, Docker
Single process.
single process. Docker file. All right. Copy gem file. Copy libs. Copy venue. That looks fine. Setting a bunch of environment variables. Doing a bundle install.
It expects you're on Heroku.
Huh. That's funny. Ends. Copy scripts in it. So what's the scripts in it look like?
It's all the migration we've seen.
Bundle exec. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. So we should switch across to this image. And we should also explicitly call the version. So what was the name of the image? Docker. Docker pull on. Let's go to Docker Hub and look for that and see what its current revision is.
Three days ago.
Go to tags.
Latest.
Now, is he actually giving them version numbers in tags? Or is that asking too much?
Yeah, it looks like it's just a hash. It's probably the hash of the commit.
Yeah.
EC.
It's zero releases.
Yeah, no. Oh wait, EC. Yeah. So he's auto pushing stuff.
Yeah. Wait, where are you seeing EC?
EC.
Oh, okay.
85088. 8508 EC.
Okay.
EC. Yeah.
Just makes it. Does he have actual like versions of huginn itself? Like any sort of Semver or anything?
There's no releases.
Zero releases.
Changes.
What about on the actual?
Nothing too obvious.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe instead of lib, so version.
Yeah.
No.
What about on the website? Does it specify what the current version is? As in the Huginn website, not the. Yeah.
Wait. There's no like huginn websites, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, I guess we can just leave it as latest.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of doing the tag, is someone can set it to be a specific version if they want. All right. Not the end of the world. Let's not worry too much about that. So here's your to-dos: is to switch to using the single process image. Because it'll cut down on the cruft inside the image, so it should make it a bit faster to start, a bit faster to load, and also reduce any potential attack vectors.
Okay.
I would say we should. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
What else?
I would say we should create an issue about not being able to set a default admin password at startup. And then we should clarify the use of the email verification timing, because obviously we want to make sure that people that we don't want to sign up can't actually sign up or can't even get temporary access.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's probably enough.
Yeah.
But certainly where we got to was more than enough for folks to deploy Huginn in a somewhat usable way. Oh, and we need to actually add the extra envs logic. Because we put the empty array inside of the values, but we didn't actually put the logic in the deployment template. Yeah. Cool.
Perfect.
So maybe we can do this again sometime next week and run through some of these to-dos.
That seems reasonable. Oh, we could do it next Thursday.
Cool. I'll need to check on availability, but I think so.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, CZ.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. This was fun.
And here's a larger screen. If anyone wants to say your thoughts or anything for the last couple minutes before we mosey on. Hopefully everyone learned something. I'll give it a couple seconds.
Nimbinatas says thank you and waves.
Yay.
And I pronounced her name correctly. Hey JJ, say Nimbinatas.
Nimbinatas.
Oh my god, you fail. There's no helping some people.
It's really not. Really not. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you, CZ. And we'll say goodbye.
Bye.